I think
Thank you,
we'll
Azim.
move to the last the panelist of this industry session, Mr. Sashi Kumar, who is a managing director of Salcom Industry. So Mr. Sashi Kumar is currently the managing director at Salcom Industry. Salcom is a Finnish company and the world largest manufacturer of mobile phone charging, supplying to top 20 OEMs of its major customers. Salcom has its manufacturing operation in India, China, Brazil, also offices in Finland, Taiwan, Japan, US, and South Korea. Salcom was established in India during 2007 as the first global charger manufacturer and currently has three manufacturing sector in India, employing more than 7,000 employees at two sites, that is in Chennai and Noida. So Mr. Sashi Kumar is associated with Salcom India since its inception and was responsible for sales and marketing and sourcing functions at Salcom before being appointed as the managing director of Indian operations. He has been instrumental in transforming Indian operations to a high-performing unit within the group, and Indian's operations has today become a significant part of Salcom's global footprint. So definitely, I think we welcome Sashi Kumar and young managing director. Also, he is taken responsible of how to take up this Vision 2020 from the House of Kalam in March 2019. So I welcome Mr. Sashi Kumar to this conference, that is India Behind Vision 2020, the challenges and opportunity. It's to you, Sashi Kumar.
Thank you, Gokul, I know for this generous introduction. And first and foremost, my sincere thanks to Dr. Kalam International Foundation for giving this wonderful opportunity. And anything you speak of Dr. Kalam, I think you must be very privileged to be talking on this subject, especially today, and more so with all the eminent panelists and then people who have really accomplished so much in life. And sometimes I envy, when people start telling them, especially when Professor Sadagopan was mentioning, Dr. Kalam is my good friend, and then, I have been working with him on long times. Unfortunately, sir, I didn't even have a chance or opportunity to see him in person. So that is one of the biggest losses of my life, I would say, not being able to meet him. But nevertheless, I've been so much inspired by what his thoughts have been for the nation and the actions as well, and his humble and simplicity and a very crisp and clear direction for the nation, and especially the year 2020. So, as we all know, if may take two references from where he was mentioning about the industry, I think there was one item which he mentioned: a nation where agriculture, industry, and the service sector works together in symphony, and a nation where the rural-urban divide has been reduced to a thin line. I think these were two of his wishes, the guidelines to the youth and the nation. So this is the segment that I represent. So I just want to give a few updates on that. There was one item which he spoke also very clearly, which is called the law of development. I think he clearly spoke about the divide between developing nations and a developed nation. So what are the aspirations of both a developed and a developing nation? Of course, both of them want to grow, and to grow, competitiveness is the key. And to be competitive, there are critical three dimensions, like a three-legged stool, which have to be balanced for a very prosperous development of any nation or a company, which is the service and product quality that we do, either a product or a service. So India is mainly a service, and also now getting to be more of a product-based company or a country. So quality is of utmost importance, and he has really spoken about it in his speech. And cost effectiveness, of course, you can produce a product which is of high quality, and you can provide a service which is best of class, but it must be affordable as well. So cost competitiveness is very, very important, or the effectiveness of cost level, that's it's quite important. And the next dimension is, of course, you can have both best quality and best price, but you must be able to serve the customer when he needs it. So on-time supply or on-time support. So these are three dimensions that he really spoke. And I think we are still an aspiring nation to be able to meet these dimensions. And if I can go more towards that, in the current scenario, of course, technology has really changed the way that we work, and especially these 45, 50 days. I think, and especially IT, the information technology and digital phobia has really increased a lot with almost across all the citizens in this world. But what does this situation provide us? So I would like to kind of take this in four levels of discussion. So one is first and foremost, with this current change of the entire scenario globally, I think there isn't one nation or, one economy or citizens who have not been touched or impacted because of this pandemic. I think there is almost everybody in this world. So while this is happening, so companies also, there is going to be a rebalancing act. Instead of globalization, I think there's going to be a regionalization or focus towards one particular segment. And I have to really tell you, from the industry perspective, India is in the right spot. I think India is in a very, very lucrative and the best position to capitalize the current situation that we have on hand. So therefore, from my point, I would say the 2020 that Dr. Kalam envisaged, probably this was the day. Or no, maybe he thought about this big change coming up already those days. And maybe this COVID-19 is one of the via medias to make all of us realize that we have responsibilities, and we do have an opportunities on hand in a great level. So if I take first the technology, I think that has been one area that he has also focused a lot, and where we also can do as a nation quite a lot. So what's technology all about? End of the day, if you cannot have something, that you can reach to the last citizen of your nation, or, the bottom of the pyramid, it's you cannot say that you're very successful. Of course, you have touched some level of the organization, or, the country, but then only you can say it is successful only when it reaches the bottom of the pyramid. And what's that? I think this digital, simplified and smart techniques, and especially right now we call this JAM, which is Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and Mobile, to some extent has really changed the way Indians look, work, and act. So thanks to that, and we really have a great opportunity in that area as well. So reaching to rural, I think is very, very important, and not just reaching products, but making sure that the products are also produced in rural areas. I think that's what it is, which I would like to touch upon it later. And end of the day, what is the purpose of an industry? The purpose of an industry is to serve the needs of the society. And of course, by serving the needs of the society means, as I already mentioned, reaching the bottom of the pyramid and to an affordable level and making profits with a purpose. So that's where industries play a key role. And from technology point of view, we have been able to meet or no come to certain levels, but we are not there yet to a level where the developed nations or have reached. So therefore, this provides the biggest opportunity for us as a country to grow, and not only for India but also for rest of the world. So if I can take an example of my own industry, which is basically electronics and mobile phones. Today, as we all know, electronics has been there isn't one industry which doesn't work without electronics. So it is a fact, and this is here to stay. So when this being the case, you need to have one, of course, quality, no doubt, and then affordability and your local supply chain. So these are three key areas to focus, and mobile phone industry is definitely making headway in this direction. And about 97% of phones that we supply in India today or use in India today is proudly made in India. So this is a fact as we have on hand. So in these areas, there are a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs. Today, most of the components are still imported, while some part of the products are produced locally, but then many of those are imported. So this pandemic situation also provides a great opportunity for entrepreneurs. So this is the second one that I would like to speak about, which is entrepreneurs and startups. I think this is the right time for all the youngsters. If you have to really do something or you want to focus something, this is the time, and this is the golden opportunity to focus on entrepreneurs, on it, to make startups, because one, you have a very conducive environment, and second, you also have proper support that's providing from the government, and third, also there is a momentum in the nation that where people really want to support and bring up the local champions or local heroes to be growing and moving forward as a global companies. So I hope our people from India, all these entrepreneurs and startups, would really become global companies and not just stay as local. So in order to do this, there has been a lot that we discussed basically about, in the previous panels, about education and technical skills, and how to bridge these skill developments. I would say as an industry, I kind of, bring this up most of the areas, and we try to do as much as we can as well. This vocational training and then, bridging industry and academia, I think this is really need of the hour. The reason why I say this is when we get people here, when we get students here, or, once they've completed their degrees, when we get them here to the industry, they're just not industry ready. I don't know whose fault is this. Is this industry's fault because industry doesn't work with the academia, or is it academia's fault because they just don't work with the industry? So somewhere, it's like we have to bridge this together, work on this together, for which there has to be a platform. And unfortunately, in this nation, everything happens only when there is a necessity or a need or a force. So maybe there has to be a government norm, or a guideline, or a necessity that this both have to work together to be able to bring up the future. So this vocational training, meaning when people or when students are really studying engineering courses, or diploma courses or ITI courses, so they will have to be taught hands-on, not just taught with on theory. When in Tamil there's a very famous proverb, which says, "Ettu surakai karikku udavadu." So this is what it means. You just have you cannot have a pumpkin, from the book used for cooking. So similarly, you have to have hands-on. So people, the students, must be able to visit organizations, work hands-on, and this should be part of the curriculum, or their course when they complete. So that would, I think, to certain extent help improve the gap that we have today. And I mean, organizations definitely are willing to, at least in our case, yes, we are willing to see uh, how much we can help out on this one. And the fourth item, I would say, basically is the developing industry itself. I think no nation can grow without having proper balance of industry. So when you talk about industries, of course, large industries are very important. But then who become large industries? Once upon a time, they were a medium or a small industry. So therefore, it is very, very essential that we focus on developing or nurturing all these mid and small size companies. I think which is what also Dr. Kalam was envisaging in all his thoughts. How can we make first, citizens to be their own bosses, and then how can they serve the society next? Then how can they serve the nation next, or then serve the international community next? So I think so. Therefore, the most important part I would say is developing the local supply chains. So having products, that we can buy quite quickly at a short time frame, and then with the skills and knowledges that are made by our people. And then at the same time, I mean, I fully echo and agree what Dr. Sadagopan mentioned, which is basically, can people quit cities and move to rural things? I mean, I 200% support this idea. Industries as well cannot be clustered into only one area, which is towards large cities. So they have to be decentralized, and then move towards sustainable locations. For example, tier 2, tier 3, even tier 4 the cities, where you can see, because all those people come here looking out for jobs. Why can't industries go there and then set up factories where everything can be made? Of course, if you put up a balance between these two, there are reasons why industry cannot go today. But then this is one of the biggest opportunities that I would say, that developing clusters in rural areas which can provide urban amenities, so that we can prosper our nation, and so that it's all balanced all across the nation, and not just clustered towards one part of a city or a state. So with these few words, I would say that, as much as Dr. Kalam envisaged India to be a great nation by 2020, I think we all can be very proud that, we have been able to achieve to a certain extent as what he envisaged. But then, he did not say that India has to be 2020. I think it was just, it's a journey, and we are there today, and we will be emerging as one of the greatest nations in days to come. And we have a proper opportunity now on hand. So with these few words, again, thank you, Dr. Kalam Foundation, and thank you all my fellow panelists, and also the other sessions from whom we learned a lot as well during the course of the day. Thank you again.
Yeah.